everybody, it's Raina at the Closet Crafter Studio. In one of my junk journal groups on Facebook, I recently posted some pictures of these altered puzzle pieces that I made, and was asked to do a tutorial on how I made them. So I'm just going to go over that really quickly. And these were made with tissue paper and wrapping paper. This one here is just a napkin. And some book pages on some of them. So I'm just going to go over some of the basic supplies that you need to make these. First of all, you're going to need puzzle pieces. Any size will work. These are smaller, as you can see, than the original ones that I did, which is absolutely fine. So some puzzle pieces, and I just get mine from the thrift store. So let me move these out of the way. So some puzzle pieces and some glue. And I also recommend using a damp brush or sponge or whatever you're using to apply your glue with. I suggest that it's damp, and that way it helps kind of knock out bubbles while you're doing the decoupage part. And then I have a stack of napkins over here, and I cut one out and it was 2-ply, so I peeled the back off. And so this is the napkin that I'm going to be using. I've got some over there drying, so I can kind of show you the whole process. Now, a lot of people will not sand, they'll paint, or they'll sand and then paint over. I don't really see the point of painting over. So I'm just gonna sand mine. So you're gonna need a sander or some sandpaper, and I prefer the flexible kind of sandpaper because I don't do a lot of cutting. I do a lot of sanding on the edges, so I don't have to do a lot of cutting trying to get in all these curves. The flexible sandpaper allows me to kind of get in there without a bunch of fussy cutting. So all I do is I sand these down pretty good, and I make sure I get around the edges very well, so that when the glue is down, it sticks really well to the edges and we don't have a bunch of peeling. And then of course you will need whatever you're gonna decorate your puzzle piece with. You can have charms, lace, ribbon, stickers. I've got a box over here with broken jewelry pieces, chains, beads, that kind of stuff in here. And I'm just kind of brushing off the sand stuff because if it's still on there, the glue is not going to stick as well. I usually have wet wipes in here to kind of wipe everything down with, but I'm out again. So, all right, now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my damp paintbrush. I'm going to stick it in my glue, and I'm going to glue over the top of my puzzle piece. I would say, you know, a nice liberal amount of glue. Get the edges fairly well. And then I'm going to take my napkin. I'm actually going to take this extra piece and get this extra glue off here. And I'm going to lay my napkin over the top of my puzzle piece and just pat it down slightly. I'm going to pat it down slightly, and then I'm going to take my paintbrush with a little bit more glue, and I'm going to glue over the top, getting those edges. So I'm going to set this aside to dry. And I've got a couple more over here, like I said, that I did earlier, and they're just about dry. So these are all dry. So I'm going to kind of show you how I get the excess paper off and how I decorate them. And again, these can be decorated any way you prefer. You can paint them instead of decoupage on them. You can add stickers, washi, lace, ribbon, you name it, you can do it. Now these ones here, I did do a little bit differently because that's actually wrapping paper in the background. And then I took the white part of the napkin and decoupaged on top of it. So I mean, you can use paper of any kinds, but there's more cutting involved if you're using just regular paper, because you can't sand the edges down as easily because it'll tear your paper. So I'm just gonna go down around the edges and it'll just kind of come away. Again, this is why I like the flexible sandpaper. It's thin, it gets right in there versus a sanding block. Okay, so I've sanded down the edges on all of these, got all the excess paper off, and now I'm just going to ink the edges really quickly. If you don't have ink, that's fine too. It's definitely not necessary. If I were using a lighter napkin for these, say something like this, I probably would have put down some book page and sanded it off a little bit to give it a little bit more visual interest. But these images on these napkins that I chose are pretty dark colored, so I didn't do that. And if you're sanding these and you notice some tearing or some coming up of the napkin around the edges, just put it aside, give it a little bit more glue, and then when it dries, come back to it. This is definitely one of those projects where you want to be patient and wait till it's fully dried before you start the sanding. All right. So I'm just going to lay these out and kind of, this is very easy to overthink because they're so small. But you definitely don't want or need to overthink what you're going to do on these. I'm probably going to grab some ribbon. And I think I'm going to grab, let me see what I have. Let's do some of this orange and blue and green. So I'm just gonna go through my charms, see what I have, see what I like. Okay, so here's what I pulled out. I've got these colorful butterflies. I got these little bling pieces. And I've got these. And pretty much all of the stickers I'll reinforce with some Mod Podge just to make sure they stick on there. So, let me see. Let's just pick one and start. Let's do this one. Actually, let's do this one. And I think I'm going to do one of these shimmery butterflies on here. So I'm just going to take it off of here with some needle nose pliers. And I'm going to poke it in here. Gonna grab my hand towel and put it here so it's easier to poke through. Alright, I'm gonna open this a little bit more so it'll go in the hole. Okay. Nope, didn't make it big enough quite yet. Okay, so that one's on there. And let's see, what else can we add? Give me some ribbon. Some green ribbon. Yeah, let's add some green ribbon. So I'm just gonna cut off a little piece of green ribbon. And poke another hole at the top. And I'm gonna grab my needle with the wide eye. Alright, got my ribbon in there. And I'm just gonna tie a little knot. I think the hole on these beads are too small. I wonder if I have a green bead in here with a bigger hole. Alright, so that's the first one. And the most time consuming process of this whole thing is waiting for the glue to dry and attaching everything. So let's do this one with these cute little beads. And let's do some wire. All right, here we go. All right, so we have got this blue one, this one with the butterfly, the one with the key and the little pearl, use your wings, this beaded one, and just because. I actually have a little orange rhinestone I'm gonna add to this one. All right, there we go. And that is how I do my altered puzzle pieces. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. I hope you learned something from this video. I hope it gave you some inspiration, and happy crafting, everybody. Bye.